Hello, it's Anne here from Lancaster Sling Library. Today I'm going to show you how to put on a ring sling. So in a previous video I showed you how to size your pouch and sort the fabric out in the rings, and now it's time to actually use the ring sling. So I carry on my right shoulder. I'm right-handed and I prefer to have my left hand, the baby on my left hand side, so I've got my right hand free. Obviously if you carry on your left shoulder, then just reverse the process basically to the opposite shoulder. So put the rings on the shoulder that you are not having the rings, so on the opposite shoulder. Dive through, and there you have it. You've got the rings exactly where you need them to be. Make sure the rings are nice in that corsage position, that nice flat position on your shoulder, and gather the fabric out like a sash. Okay, this is actually a little bit too big, I can feel it already, so I'll show you how to tighten. So get your baby, put your baby on your shoulder, spare hand dives through and guides the feet through. It's always easier to guide through than stuff, if that makes sense. Okay, so sit baby's weight on the carrier, knee to knee, okay, and what that does is that then takes out any slack in the back. Okay, keep all of the fabric up on your shoulder at this point. Don't spread it out just yet. Keep it all up there. Okay. Now once you've got baby's weight on the sling, if the rings have slipped slightly, which they have a tendency to do, end up by your boobs, this is the point at which you can adjust that, get the rings nice and high where they're supposed to be, and you're ready to start spreading the fabric. So, closer so you can see. If you start at the top here, take the inside rail and the outside rail in opposite thumbs. Bring that round down to underneath baby. Okay, you're always holding on to baby. If you notice, I held on to baby with my arm, sort of this part of my arm here, and now as I'm bringing it around, I'm holding her with my hand. So you're always holding on to baby. So bring it round to the base, and now it's time to pull the sling up over. You don't want to pull it up in one go because it introduces a lot of slack, and it just means then that you're having to take that slack out when you're tightening the rings afterwards. So keep hold of the fabric underneath and slowly step the fabric up around baby's back. Okay, pull the fabric up enough to do a hood, bring it down. Okay, so you've got the fabric nice and smooth over baby's back, and the rest of the fabric is now underneath. So I find it easier if you go between you and baby, so under the leg, get this excess fabric and tuck it up. Okay, there we go. So if you can see, that's a really nice deep seat and the fabric is really nice and high. Okay, make sure she's got free movement in her knees, so the fabric is knee to knee, not past the knee. So just knee to knee, and all of that excess fabric there is tucked underneath, so it's nice and smooth across baby's back. Okay, now as you can see, we've got a fair bit of excess fabric here. So just gather all of the slack out of the fabric and bring it over towards the rings, and that just helps with the tightening. So bring that fabric over here towards the rings. There we go, and now it's time to tighten. So don't be tempted to tighten down. When you tighten down, you're pulling the rings down. You want to tighten in the direction that the fabric came in. So for the top rail, tighten straight across. For the middle, tighten across the middle. And for the bottom, tighten across the bottom. Okay? So do it little bit by little bit. So little bit by little bit. Pull that slack out. And as you can see, by pulling across and not by pulling down, those rings are hardly moving. So instead of having the problem where you're tightening that fabric and you end up with rings down by your boobs, you just don't get that really by this method at all. So that fabric's nice and tight, just make sure that seat's nice and good. Take your hands, push baby's knees up, okay? Final thing you can do is spread the shoulder. The easiest way to do this is take your thumb on this hand and your thumb on this hand, hook the outside rail there, and on this one, hook the outside rail there and pull at the same time. If you pull both at the same time, you just get a little bit of extra give. Okay, so that's now nice, cupping your shoulder there, baby's knee to knee, nice and high, ticks, With this tail, you can either use a tail or a muslin. Just create a nice neck rest there with that extra fabric. And that is done. There's a wing sling. Now to take baby out, reverse the process. So, pull that fabric round, take your thumb, hook into your shoulder and just lift that up. And that introduces slack back into the carrier. Pull from underneath baby. Straight up, over the top. And that is that. Now when you're putting baby back in, now that your pouch is sized, all you need to do is just lift this top ring ever so slightly, just to introduce literally about 1 centimetre, an inch of fabric back into here. You only want just enough looseness to fit baby in, otherwise you're constantly tightening again. Okay? And that's that. If you've got any questions, obviously just please ask.